Ask yourself this question: who is the next face of the NBA? I'm guessing most of you would say players like Luka, Wemby, Anthony Edwards. But what if I told you that just 5 years ago, many people were predicting that Zion Williamson would be the person to take the title of the face of the league? To understand why, we need to go to the fall of 2018. This is when Williamson was beginning his one-and-done season at Duke, where he would completely take over the world of college basketball. Williamson, the 7th-ranked player in his class to join a stacked Duke Blue Devils team, which included now Spurs guard Tre Jones, Lakers forward Cam Reddish, and Raptors forward R.J. Barrett. Needless to say, this Duke team was hyped up. Even before playing any games, Williamson would make headlines as he would break the Duke vertical record with a vertical measuring 45 inches, an insane number for someone who was measured at 6'7", 285 according to Duke. Needless to say, this physically gifted player would go on to completely take over the world of college basketball with his insane freshman season at Duke. With his insane highlight package and great numbers to back it, Zion would quickly shoot up the draft boards, asserting himself as the future #1 pick in the 2019 NBA draft. This wasn't just any average first pick in the draft. The Zion Williamson hype was real, and it got to the point where he arguably became the most hyped up prospect since LeBron, and if not LeBron, since Anthony Davis. It felt like every time you opened up Instagram or any other form of social media, there was a Zion highlight waiting for you. This hype was so real that in a rival game versus the North Carolina Tar Heels, which was being watched by millions, Zion would famously rip through his shoe, which would cost Nike $1.1 billion. Yes, $1 billion in stock. After a successful freshman season averaging 22.6 points and 8.9 rebounds, Zion would collect tons of awards and accolades, such as being named the Naismith College Player of the Year, AP Player of the Year, ACC Rookie and Player of the Year, and being a consensus All-American. After a March Madness which saw Duke lose in heartbreaking fashion to Michigan State, it was time for Zion to declare for the 2019 NBA Draft, where people would say he was going to be the future face of the NBA. After a surprising draft lottery which saw the Pelicans only get a 6% chance win it was clear that Zion was going to be the new face of the Pelicans, as an Anthony Davis trade was inevitable. So this begs the question, why isn't Zion considered to be the future face of the NBA 5 years after his legendary season at Duke? Well, to answer that, we will have to look at what's happened over the past 5 years for the young forward. This takes us to July 5th, 2019, the Summer League debut of Zion against his former Duke teammate R.J. Barrett. All of the hype is around this as his NBA career starts now. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, a knee collision? After only 9 minutes, Zion had exited the Summer League for precautionary reasons and wouldn't return as he had a bruised knee. The Pelicans simply didn't want to risk his health. Despite only playing 9 minutes, Zion put up a very impressive 11 points and 3 rebounds, but this would be the beginning of a slew of injuries that would continue to hurt his career. This would lead to the preseason where through 4 games, Zion would average an impressive 23.2 points, a sign of great things to come for the #1 pick. Zion was set to make his debut against the defending champion Raptors, and oh wait, Zion had torn his right meniscus and would require surgery, which was expected to delay his debut by about 6 to 8 weeks. This injury would lead to him missing 44 games, an unfortunate start to his career. However, through 24 games that he played that year, he would live up to the hype of the #1 pick. Zion was dominant, posting 22.5 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 22 assists per game on 58.9% shooting from the field. It was clear that the injury was a minor setback, but if he could stay healthy, this man could very much live up to the hype. Despite missing over half the season, Zion would finish 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting and finish on the All-Rookie first team. The following season would see a much healthier Zion playing in 61 out of the 72 games. Zion was named an All-Star. In fact, he was the 4th youngest player ever to make an All-Star game. Zion averaged an incredible 27 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists while shooting 61.1% from the field. Despite this dominant season, there would be some questions that would hinder his career thus far, as there was concern for his weight. You see, Zion had a unique build. At 6'6", 285, he's built more like an NFL tight end rather than your prototypical NBA player. With all the jumping that Zion does, that is a lot of strain on the lower body, especially his knees. This raised concerns as though it made him hard to stop in the paint, it would put a lot of strain on his lower body and could potentially cause injury. This raised concern in the media as everybody wants to see a healthy Zion thrive in the NBA. However, at this point, his weight wasn't a massive issue as Zion was dominating in his second season. But then, tragedy would strike. During summer workouts, Zion would break his right foot, which would lead to season-ending surgery. This was devastating news for the young star as he'd only suited up for 85 games through his first 3 seasons of his career. They say availability is the best ability, and Zion's strain of injuries were affecting his career as how could one carry the torch of the NBA if he wasn't even on the court? Because of this injury, his weight was once again a big focus as reports were that he was weighing over 300 pounds. This drew a big concern as his health and weight could directly be affecting his career and availability. It is important to note that Zion spoke out about these reports as he didn't like the way the media was portraying him and his weight, saying, quote, "What people don't understand is, even the writers and stuff, if they have children of their own, imagine if somebody talked about their child how they spoke about me, critiquing my body, critiquing how I look," end quote. Regardless of how Zion felt, these were legitimate concerns as Zion just couldn't simply stay healthy, and the weight had to have been at least a factor to why he was struggling to stay healthy. After not playing in the 2021-22 season, Zion would sign a max 5-year rookie extension for $197.2 million, which could be worth up to $231 million with the New Orleans Pelicans. In this contract, we would see a weight clause confirming the concerns that the Pelicans management had with Zion's weight. This clause states that he will have weigh-ins throughout his deal to measure his combined weight and body fat percentage to ensure it doesn't exceed a total of 295. If it does, guaranteed money in Williamson's extension, which kicks in at the start of the 2023-24 season, can be reduced. This was a significant moment in Zion's career as he'd been ridiculed by many members of media and former players about his weight, as there were times where Zion was clearly out of shape. The freak athlete did not need excess weight on him and had consistently been struggling with his weight throughout his career thus far. Another thing that was included in this contract was a games played clause, which took away Zion's guaranteed money if he missed a certain amount of games. Here's the breakdown. If Williamson appears in at least 41 games in 2024-25, it unlocks another 40% of his salary for 25-26. Zion would unlock an additional 20% of his salary if he played at least 51 games in the 2024-25 season. And if Williamson played at least 61 games that season, it would unlock the final 20% and his contract becomes guaranteed for 25-26. This would be a big motivator for Zion to play more and stay at a healthy weight, as this time millions were on the line for him to stay within the target weight in games played as a Pelican. The Pelicans were willing to give him the max but needed that extra insurance to make sure that he played. This led to the 2022-23 season. This season saw Zion pick up right where he left off, averaging 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. And a hamstring injury just 29 games into his season. That's right, after being named an NBA All-Star starter, he suffered an injury to his right hamstring. Hamstring muscle strains often occur when a muscle lengthens as it contracts or shortens. Although it sounds contradictory, this happens when you extend a muscle while it's weighted or loaded. Because of this, the media once again began to question his conditioning. This injury would sideline him for the remainder of the season. In his first 4 years, Zion had only played 114 games. While he was on the court, he was a difference maker and a star. He just couldn't simply stay healthy, a reoccurring theme in his young NBA career. Further, because of the 29 games played, the last 3 years of his contract were no longer guaranteed. Because of this, Zion had the potential to lose out on millions. But keep in mind, Zion could also re-guarantee this money by playing in at least 61 games the season before the non-guaranteed year, which is this season. With the growing concerns of his weight, Zion would comment on this on the Gilbert Arenas podcast, saying, quote, "There are a lot of things I could have done better. I didn't. I'm in the process of fixing those wrongs." This would lead to the 2023-24 season. With the lights and pressure on him to stay healthy, as now millions were at stake with his rookie deal being done, would he be able to play enough games? Would he manage to stay at a reasonable weight? These were big questions surrounding Williamson coming into camp. Williamson reportedly came into camp motivated to make an impact and stay healthy. A report from The Athletic stated that Williamson had, quote, been really focused on making sure his body is prepared for a long season, end quote. This season was Zion's healthiest season to date, playing in 70 of 82 games, a good sign for things to come. This season saw Zion average 22.9 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 5 assists. He was not named an All-Star, however, these were still very impressive numbers, and his ability to stay mostly healthy was also very impressive. Despite the play, he was injured again in the play-in tournament against the Lakers and missed the first round of the playoffs, which saw the Pelicans get swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder. An important note on the season were the reports of him refusing to prioritize dieting and conditioning. It became evident that in some games Zion was not running hard, which Shaq called him out for. There was clearly a lack of conditioning. Analysts like JJ Redick called him out for not being in shape, which became a focus point. Everyone didn't deny the talent, but the media was questioning if he had bought into his own career. The theme in the media was all the same. All-star numbers will come with pure talent alone, but this could be a guy who still had the potential to carry the torch and become one of the faces, if not the face, of the NBA. This finally led to the 2024-25 season. Zion apparently took this offseason very seriously, going on a diet and a strict workout routine. The Athletic reported that Zion had hired a private chef whose, quote, responsibility is to whip up healthy meals so Williamson can reach his goal of entering training camp at 270 pounds, end quote. Zion came into camp looking healthier than ever and ready to lead the New Orleans Pelicans to the postseason and prove all of his doubters wrong, and oh wait, just 6 games into this season, Zion is now out again. Zion just suffered a left hamstring strain and now is out indefinitely. He's expected to miss several weeks. The themes of Zion's career between the injuries and him not being in shape have overshadowed the clear and generational talent that he possesses. Nobody denies the pure talent, but many question his dedication and work ethic. He was once looked at as someone who could be the future face of the NBA, but now those narratives are gone. They say availability is the best ability, and that has been evident in the career of Zion Williamson.